Alright, let's put Horatio up. His face fell off again. I didn't say a bad word, but yet I got slapped. Didn't you hear the beep? I didn't say it, but you're bound to have heard the beep.
There might not be a beep.
There was a beep. I heard the beep. Didn't you hear it?
Nope.
Let's try it again. There was a beep!
Can I try it again?
No, my shoulder's starting to hurt.
There's other places.
Pardon me, Horatio. You're gonna have to wear your face. That. I'd say a bad word first, right? Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to We Can Fix It, to where if we work together we can fix just about anything. My name's Danny, and today I'm with John, the car dealer.
It's a good car.
And today I'm going to be talking about how I check out my personal vehicles before purchasing them. It's not a how-to, it's just how I do, okay? So this isn't nothing that I'm telling you that you need to do or should do, but essentially it's just giving you an idea of what I go through each and every time I check out a vehicle to ensure that that it's good enough for me to purchase. So without further ado, let's get to checking it out. So I got completely hammered the last time I did a vehicle video, and that was on the jacks, the bottle jacks. So I'm gonna veer off of the bottle jacks for a minute. We're gonna just hold off on that. We'll bring that topic back up at a later date. But today we're going to be talking about how I check out vehicles that I'm interested in. As I said, it's not a how-to, it's just how I do, how I check out vehicles for myself. If you wish to do the same thing, that's up to you. If you wish to take the car out to a mechanic, that's up to you. If you don't know anything about a vehicle, that's the best thing to do, is take it to a mechanic, the third party that doesn't have nothing to do with the dealership, and let them check it out. The reason being is some dealerships, their mechanics will naturally tell you it's a good car because they're trying to sell the car. So I would just take it to a third party, somebody that isn't affiliated with the dealership, just have the car checked out, make sure it's fine. So the first thing I'll do is I look up the car online. Let me rephrase that. The first thing I do is I find the vehicle that I want. Okay, whether it be online or in person. The second thing I do is try to figure out what motor it has in it and what transmission it has in it. The reason being is I want to know if the motor is reliable. I do all my research to find out if the motor is reliable. If there's any issues, things that may need to be fixed. The second thing I do is transmission. You need to make sure that how many gears your car has that you're interested in. The reason is because that way you can go up the road, you can get it up to highway speed, 55, 65 miles an hour, and you're able to count the gear shifts in the transmission. So without further ado, after I've done checked the motor, okay, it's a 4-cylinder, alright, well, it does have a few issues, but nothing I can't handle. The transmission is a 5-speed automatic transmission. I should be able to count the gears. The next thing is to go to the dealership or to the individual. Now, the individual is a whole lot different than a dealership. The individual, they really, if you tick somebody off, they really don't have to sell that car to you. But the dealership, on the other hand, they can't get that commission if they don't sell the car to you. So you have to ensure that when you go to the dealership that you go up there and whatever they say, throw it right out the window, because it doesn't matter what they say. Every single car is going to pretty much be represented the exact same way. It's a good car, it runs good, they'll tell you it gets 100 miles to the gallon if it'll sell the vehicle, okay? And that's not all dealerships, but that's probably the majority of them. The thing that I find that works for me in checking out a vehicle is to really check it out when the dealership is either closed, or you just tell them you're just looking. That would probably be the easiest thing. I'm just looking. And that way you can kind of get a little space so you can check the vehicle out. But as soon as you show interest, that car dealer is going to be right on you, like white on rice. So let's get started. So the first thing I always do when I check on a vehicle, when I see it in person, is I check the tires. I want to make sure the tires are good. So you see these little studs right here. These are the nipples on the side wall of the tire. They're normally up in here too on some tires. Essentially, these wear off. So I want to be able to see these, and I want to have a good deep tread on the tire. Now there is an issue with this, is if you're buying a used vehicle, the used car dealers will put nice tires on the car because the car is wearing, is out of toe and maybe wearing one-sided, so it might be wearing heavy on the inside or heavy on the outside of the tire. And you won't know that till you actually purchase the car and drive it. And then you'll have to put another tire on within about a year or two. But it's not that often. Most time car dealers are okay with trying to get the suspension and everything, because they have to make sure that it's a reliable vehicle. All right. So the next thing that I always do, and which most car dealers and anybody that deals with cars always do, is you'll see them run their hands down like this right here. And the reason they're doing that, and the reason I do this, is because you need to know if it's painted. Now this car has been painted. I hit a deer with it, so I know it's been painted. You can ask the boy. He was high on Novocaine going down the road after a tooth being pulled right there, and he goes, I hit the deer, and all of a sudden you hear a bam, the window crashes in, and he goes, who dat, who dat? So here, can you see that line that goes right there? You see it right there? You got it? Okay. So that is what's called a tape line. And that's normally what you're filling for, is that tape line. And you fill it from behind the hood, from the side of the hood. You can fill it from right here. Normally they'll tape it right here, and you can fill it in the corners. That tells you that the car's been painted. Heavy trash in the paint. Make sure you get the car's body panels and the light, so that way you can look and see if there's any trash in the paint. This car has trash, but it's dirty, so it won't show up that well. You never take care of the car that you always drive for some reason. Not as well as the other ones. So anyway, heavy trash, I look for that. I look for tape lines. And then what the next thing I do is I don't allow the car dealer to know that I know it's been painted. So once I go in there, I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, has that car ever been painted? The first thing they'll probably say, and which in many cases that I've been in, they'll say, no, that thing's got original paint. It's got original paint. Little old lady drove it back and forth to church. It's got original paint. Well, I know they're lying because I found the obvious telltale signs. The tape lines, trash in the paint. There can be overspray. Overspray will be on like your headlights in the corners and stuff where they didn't tape it up that well. So then, after I figure out if it is painted or not, I pop the hood and I'll go and check everything. I'll check the water, I'll check the vehicle for water, I'll check the oil, check the transmission fluid if it has a stick. No, most vehicles nowadays don't have a stick, they're enclosed units. Brake fluid, everything. I check it all. If that passes, the next thing I do is I check all the headlights, turn signals, all that good stuff. Now, if the vehicle is used and not a newer vehicle, I may even, depending on the year model, if it's an older, like let's say 60s all the way up to the 90s, maybe early 2000s, I'll get up under and I'll check the frame rail up under the vehicle and check all the framing, all the underpinning, all that mess, just to make sure that nothing's rotted out and it's not going to fold in two. The next thing I do after I check all the lights and everything is we go on a test drive. We got to make sure it drives right. We'll make sure it runs right. So I'll crank it up and I may stick my head under the hood just to hear if I hear any kind of knocks, any weird sounds, anything of that nature. And then I'll take it up the road. So let's jump in the car and take it up the road. Now, I live in Virginia, and in Virginia we can have a check engine light on, but we can't have an airbag light on. This airbag light came on probably about, 2 or 3 months ago, and it's attached to the passenger seat. Something's wrong with the passenger seat. But in Virginia, you can't have an airbag light on and it passed inspection. So this passed inspection before the airbag light come on. So I have to fix this airbag light before the next inspection. In other states, such as North Carolina, the check engine light has to be off. You have to make sure that the check engine light is off or else it will not pass inspection. Now, in our state, like I said, the check engine light can be on. Now, the reason this one is on is mainly because of the O2 sensors, but that's okay. It'll run without an O2 sensor being working properly. It just won't get as good a gas mileage. It may burn a little rich. So the next thing I look at is the RPM gauge. So you see how it's just steadily staying just above, up under 1,000 RPMs. So you don't want it to be revving up and down. Some vehicles do this, but not greatly. It could mean something's wrong with the throttle body or a sensor's bad, but sometimes I've gotten into vehicles and the vehicle will not stay at an RPM. It'll just bounce up and down like this. I was in a Mustang, and the Mustang, it actually had a electrical component that was on the dash. I didn't realize the AC was on, and the AC was causing this wild rev up, such like this. It was kind of, how would I put this? It kind of made me worry going down the road that the vehicle wasn't going to make it back because of the fact that it was revving up and down like that. I thought I might stall or something. But once the AC didn't work, so I didn't realize that was the issue, was the AC was on and the AC nor the fan was working. So, but anyway, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check and see if the vehicle goes into reverse. You can see it bogs down. I don't know if you've seen where they bounced the camera. It's in reverse, neutral. See the RPMs come back up. Now drive. Didn't shift hard. went in smooth, so we know that's working properly. Alright, now during the test drive, I'm trying to feel if the steering is wobbling. If I feel any biting of the vehicle, how would I put this? How would I phrase this as far as the vehicle biting? So the motorist essentially would be skipping, and the vehicle would kind of jerk because of the skip. So that's what we call biting. I'm trying to see if the motor's biting. It could, and if it is, it could be anything from coil to injectors, plugs, anything of that nature, anything dealing with firing order. So I want to ensure that the transmission is also working properly. So I'm counting the shifts and I'm making sure that it's shifting properly. And I'm trying to make sure that it's not slipping. And you'll know when it slips because when you're driving down the road, you'll feel it. It's like it just goes into neutral and then comes right back into gear. Sometimes you'll have what's called a shudder when it shifts. So that's also a bad transmission. The whole car, if you've ever been over ripple strips, that's how it feels. You're just on a regular road and it shifts gears and it just shakes the whole car when it shifts the gears. So I can tell here, no shuddering, it's shifting properly. I can get into it. No shifting issues. I can press the brakes, pull it down. No vibrations in the brakes, no vibration in the steering. The vehicle isn't pulling one way or another. And this is this next test that I'm going to do, most people don't do. And you really need to do it, especially on front wheel drives or four wheel drives. Alright, so next we're going to be turning the wheel as far as possible in either direction. And the reason we're doing the turning the wheel as far as possible in either direction is because of the fact that we need to ensure that the front end's not popping. The CV axles will, the knuckles in them will pop. And if you turn the steering wheel as far as it'll go on a front wheel drive, they'll click. Well, they'll click or pop. This one didn't do it. I'm hitting a few bumps, intentionally hitting these bumps to see if the front end is out of alignment or wore out. You'll hear it clank around. It's nice and quiet in here. Only thing I hear is road noise. And now I'm going to check. I'm going to pull over here and I'm going to check the gears. Make sure the gears are shifting properly. Alright, we're on a road. Good, so we're in first gear. We know that. The vehicle stopped. And here we go. Second. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Alrighty. In short, the only things that I check is I check the tires, make sure that it has tread, they're not wearing awkwardly. Make sure that the paint is up to my standards, and my standards may be different than yours. I don't care if the car's been painted. If it runs good and it works properly, that's all I care about. I need something that's reliable, not looking good. I've got a car that looks good already. I don't need another one just to drive every day. And so I get in it and I make sure that it's not, well, I crank it, make sure it's not knocking, make sure the oil is right, all that good stuff. One thing that you do need to do before taking a vehicle out on a test drive is to ensure that all the fluids are up. Because if you take it out on a test drive and let's say that there's no power steering fluid in the car, and all of a sudden the power steering craps out on you because there was no fluid in it, the dealer may look at you and think it's your fault. So make sure that everything in the vehicle is all the fluids are up, so that way there's no reason whatsoever for the vehicle to let you down while you're riding down the road testing it, because the dealer probably hadn't checked the oil or transmission fluid or anything since they got the car. They might have had it changed, but they hadn't checked it since. Make sure you check it. So I make sure I check it. I forgot something. So during the test drive, this is the perfect time to check everything like your radio. Check your AC unit. My AC unit's already on, it's working properly. So we know that works. Turn it to heat. Does it heat? Yep, okay, that works. My radio does not display. So it hasn't displayed since I got the car, but it works. It just doesn't display. So I may need a radio. That's okay. This pops off, radio comes out, I can put another radio in it. Again, like I said, that's my personal preference. I really don't care. I can find my station, put it on there, and leave it there. Alrighty, and I think that's it, John. I'll do the outro at the house. Well, that's the end of this episode. We can fix it. Unfortunately, it's not a fun one. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and remember, if we work together, we can fix just about anything.